A grinding mechanical noise drew my attention to a camera in the upper right corner of the entrance, rotating its lens towards me. From a concealed speaker, I heard an older man's voice say,
"Good morning, sir. And to whom do we have the pleasure of speaking to?"
Not finding an intercom button, I raised my voice and spoke to the camera. "Hello! I'm not sure if this is the right place, but I found your QR code while out running and wanted to join your athletics club." The inquiry was welcomed with static silence. I tried looking inside for some sign of life, but any panes that weren't artistically frosted over had large curtains drawn. I turned my attention to the exterior of what should have been a home in an upscale neighborhood, but its size and length matched closer to a modernist office building intrusively planted in the middle of a private mountain home community. It was impressive. Could have been on the cover of an architectural digest, but imposed more than its size. Surrounded by the silent life of pine and cedar humming to the afternoon breeze passing above, the building gave off an uncanny emptiness. The more I looked, the more I noticed the emptiness reflected around me. At the end of a winding cul-de-sac hidden in the forest 20 minutes from the nearest gas station, not even the neighbors had cars in their driveways. My Corolla on the opposite curb was the only car I had seen for maybe 5 miles. The other houses looked pristine, and not a single one lived in. The sweet wafting of rosemary and sage hung in the air. There's no sound of honking cars, industrial lawnmowers, or screaming children. Just the chirping of killdeer and the nearby splash of an unseen river. Tired of observing the oddities of the empty community I found myself in, pulled at the glass double doors, stainless steel handles to no avail. Finding a thin stretch of unfrosted glass at the side of the door, I peered in. The interior matched the digest cover exterior, a contemporary modern reception area complete with hanging plant walls and gunmetal steel coffee tables aside curving white leather sofas. Its floors were tiled with dark, polished granite. Fine motors whirred from metal boxes at the top and bottom of the doors, their locks unbolting, swinging the right door in front of me slightly ajar. From the speaker, the voice directed,
"Please wait in our lobby. A representative will join you shortly."
I barely noticed the locks bolting behind me. As the ambiance saturated my being with another world of taste, every detail immaculate, every surface spotless, everything fit in its proper place. I couldn't comprehend why a reception area like this would be accessible from a QR code advertisement stapled to a light pole, but having little else in my life I could focus on, the appeal of joining an upscale fitness club fueled the stifling of my logical side. The opportunity to make connections, maybe becoming friends with a wealthy financier, not to mention the cash grand prize for competing in several unspecified races, made it easy to ignore any simmering doubts. I sat on the white couch, its soft leather squeaking beneath my jeans and bomber jacket. The quiet seconds of waiting passed slowly, leading my restless eyes to look over the room. Oblong African fetish statues, cracked china vases, jade lions holding up a series of obscure books atop a glass-side table. I then noticed a cast-iron statue of a fox-like creature chasing what looked to be a jackrabbit. The canine's expression was vicious, supported by the ripples of its muscles tight against its protruding ribs. The terrified rabbit, mid-leap, evoked a sad, desperate, tired nature from the small face craning backward to view its overtaking predator. Echoing footsteps from the hallway behind me interrupted my observation. Turning to face the source, a masked woman, long black hair, contrasting with the featureless white mask, walked towards me. She wore a gray blazer mid-length dress and white high heels, professional corporate attire that was easier to look at than inviting to talk to. Paired with the mask, the circumstance of her silent approach, till she stood next to me, covered me in an off-putting, eerie sensation. In a smooth, measured voice, she commented, "A peculiar statue, isn't it? Yes, it's very expressive. Riveting observation. What emotions would you say it's expressing? Surprised and slightly annoyed, I looked back to the chase scene, trying to think of what I could say that would impress her, yet not being too obvious that I was eager to join her club. Though, with the mask, it started to seem more like a cult. Well, something about the log they're jumping over and the foliage reminds me of an old British fox hunting scene, though instead of a hound chasing a fox, it's the fox chasing a rabbit. The fox looks starved, and the rabbit looks... The face's fear was potent, not to mention every aspect of the scene focused attention towards the rabbit's face. At a loss for words, I stated the obvious. The rabbit's going to get eaten. She nodded, and without a second glance, turned and walked back towards the hallway. Please, follow me. Stuffing my hands into my pockets, I followed her from one hallway to the next, surrounded by green floral wallpaper, stainless steel baseboards, and large illuminated paintings of pith-helmeted hunters pursuing bizarre fleshy creatures through otherworldly landscapes. I chalked it up to an overactive and possibly overpriced artist's imagination. The masked woman led me to a small room near the end of the hallway's next turn. The inside was cozy yet spacious enough for a desk, extensive book collection lining one of the walls, and a lounge sofa next to it. Natural green light filtering from the large frosted window behind the desk, it held the semblance of a psychologist's office. Please lie on the Chase Lounge, sir. Dr. Demos will see you shortly. Nodding, I held up a hand. Roger that. Thank you. And your name? Pausing in the doorway, she looked back. I would advise you not to ask that question of any other servant, but considering my role and the likelihood of us seeing each other again, my name is Mia. Well, Mia, what would I call the other servants? Their designation, unless otherwise directed to by your benefactor. Oh, a little impersonal, but my name is Nine. Excuse me? Your name is Nine, and you best not tell anyone what it really is. Before I could extend the conversation, the door closed on my attempt at a friendly exchange. Nine? What did she mean by that? The lounge looked comfortable, but I wanted to know who I was meeting with. The photos between his desk and the walls provided some context. A framed doctorate from Harvard, a black and white photo of a rowing team, and a group of men standing in front of a prestigious-looking sorority building. I then moved to the bookcase where there was another group of men, much older and assumedly more recent. They stood in front of a large black rock. They were all smiling, proud, each of them wearing robes, holding their own thick tome of some book they clearly held in high regard. Demos's book titles held more clues to his interests. They all looked to be first editions of various philosophers, cultural analyses, and psychiatric studies across a variety of languages, including a modern printing in Latin. One was horizontally stacked above the others on its shelf. Pulling it from its seat, I read aloud. The Purpose of Trauma, a Shaman's Role in Facilitating Growth. Which will be my pleasure to prepare today and hopefully accomplish tomorrow. From the doorway, a clean-shaven older man balding in the center, with round tortoise-shelled glasses shuffled in. He smiled widely, throwing his hand forward to greet me. I shook his hand while he used the other to gesture to the lounge chair. I smiled and sat in the chair, opening the book to a random page. Ruminating on possible commonalities to spark conversation, I referenced a book I never finished, but thought he might know. Have you read Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces? Why, yes, I have. I'm surprised you know of it. Most young people haven't taken time to appreciate the revolutionary nature of his work. One of Demos's bushy eyebrows raised as he pulled his wingback chair from around his desk to seat himself much closer to me. You know, I met him while he was touring various universities, speaking on the power of archetypes. That would have been an amazing experience. I only know him from a couple of art classes I took in college.
Oh, what university did you attend?
Utah State, though I should be honest, it was just 1 year.
What caused you to not go back?
Leaning forward, Demos pushed his glasses up and clicked his pen, making some light scribbles on a leather-bound journal. Shrugging, I told the truth. I was paying a lot of money to be taught things I already knew or could learn online. Scratching his jaw, an understanding emanated from his closed mouth.
And what did your parents think of this?
They said it was my money and that they would be supportive of my decision. Tell me, how supportive have your parents been of your decisions? Well, they haven't been proud of all of them, but they also didn't try to direct me in any particular, direction. And now you find yourself here. Tell me, why do you want to join our athletics society? Oh, I want to change my life for the better, I suppose.
Everyone wants to change their life for the better. Be more specific. What incentive caused you to sit before me wanting to compete in our program?
I remembered the glow of the street lamp, the passing headlights, when I stopped to rest during my nightly run, and noticed something new that wasn't there the previous night. I came across an advertisement for a cash prize if I could join your athletics society and compete in some races. So I scanned the QR code and here I am now.
Thank you. So you could say that your greed is what drove you to be here.
Well, I don't think I would say that.
Please, honesty is highly valued here, and commonly viewed vices are tools we use to succeed in our endeavors, so please think about your response.
I felt uncomfortable changing my answer. Shifting in my seat, I wanted to say the prize was secondary and that I wanted to be a part of his society like him a part of his fraternity. But that wasn't entirely true. I was there for the money. They advertised it. So, I thought, why shouldn't I admit it? The doctor wanted me to say it, so I guess I should say it. I suppose so, Doctor. It was the cash prize and my greed that brought me here. Eyebrows raised, Demos leaned back in his chair.
You freely admit that?
Smiling widely, he scribbled a couple more comments hidden from me, then looked up from his sagging glasses. Well, young runner, the Run Rabbit Salt Lake City chapter takes great pride in making sure our athletes are of strong mental constitution, and it seems as though you've passed with flying colors. Confused but happy I made it through the interview, I replied, "Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Demos," and shook his hand. "So, we're meeting again tomorrow?" My current job in the onboarding process is finished, but my role as shamanic facilitator of growth requires one final group session with your peers before you begin your races. Okay, well, I guess I'll see you then. His smile flatlined, pulling the sheen from his once cheery eyes, now glassy, distant orbs. If you think you see me, don't address me. It's bad form. Thank you again for joining me. Now, please. Demos gestured to the door with an open palm. Have a great rest of your day. 9. There it was again. My name was apparently 9 now, and no one told me why. As I closed the door to Dr. Demos, shuffling his notes away into a fresh manila folder he pulled from his desk, I was greeted by Mia in her formless mask standing near the next door. Hey, Mia? Yes, 9. Why can't I use my name? But you can? What makes you think Mia is my real name? You got me there. Look, I don't mean to be offensive, but doesn't this all seem a little dehumanizing? Opening the door to the next room, she grimly smiled. A little, but it makes much of the process easier. Sharply exhaling, I muttered, How vague and not a weird thing to say at all. Would it make you feel better if I said it was tradition? Is it true? I haven't lied to you yet. So your name is Mia. I felt for a moment Mia's cold professional persona breaking briefly into a playful spark. It was the microscopic, almost imperceivable movements in her hips, the shifting of her weight, the tilt of her head. It was like watching the introvert at a party finally feel comfortable enough to talk. Their frigid stance warming, their shoulders dropping. However, just like the party introvert, she recoiled as quickly as she unwound, straightening as though she were bracing herself for disappointment. Yet, from behind her mask, words were desperately spoken from the soft nature of her playful spark as it was being dragged back into the confines of her subconscious. Look, 9, you shouldn't. That will be all, Mia. Startling us both, a man in a turtle mask, deep black suit, and silver tie loomed in the doorway behind. Mia's gaze fell to the grout between the floor's tiles. Her immediate reaction gave me some gauge as to the man's importance, and her backing out of the room into the hallway told me what his opinion could do to her. His tone was mature, confident, as deep and as dark as his suit, and yet carried by an electric current inviting listeners to engage, only after his point was made and the breaker thrown. Tell Mr. Gold he will have him, but only if he agrees to be our 9th competitor. Until then, I would appreciate his mind being uncluttered. He has a big step ahead of him, the choice between returning to obscurity or embracing the chance of immense wealth. Please, leave us, and tell Mr. Gold I will contact him regarding 9's membership once we finish. Mia nodded her head, still not making eye contact despite the full attention the man gave her. Once he entered, she closed the door softly behind him, her heeled footsteps quickly fading down the hall. Switching his gaze back to me, with his left hand still behind his back, he raised his right for a handshake I quickly accepted. My apologies. She is a wonderful assistant in many ways, has become accepted, but she still is not an Olympian, and neither are you. His grip lingered, shaking my hand slightly longer than comfortable. I knew what he wanted. He wanted me close enough to read my face, to understand who I was by how I held myself. I returned the favor, staring into his eyes, forcing his darting scan of my facaded introductory charm to return to my gaze. The seconds lengthened as the intensity of our locked eyes grew, till I saw his cheek tops raise, his private emotion betrayed by how poorly his turtle disguise conformed to the horizontal nature of his now grinning face. He raised his left finger to a point, cheerily adding, Yet, that is, a part of winning the races isn't just that you will become fabulously wealthy, it's that you will enjoy the privileges of being one of us, an Olympian. Gesturing for me to sit in the seat closest, he crossed to the other side, sinking into a leather office bucket seat. Its outward design appeared more pleasing to look at than to sit in, as I sat in an identical one opposite to him. The desk between us held several neatly stacked towers of papers and a variety of tools. A large, table-bound magnifying glass clamped to the edge, held aloft by gantry and coiled wires. Next to the magnifying contraption laid an aesthetically Japanese rabbit mask and a pen. As I sat, still wanting to improve my chances, I added, Thank you for considering me for your athletic society, sir. Please, address me as Mr. Tortoise. Should you accept, I will be your taskmaster, though not your manager. I have a wide array of responsibilities beyond our society's competitions, though this competition is an important event for all of us. Thank you, Mr. Tortoise. And earlier, when you said Olympian, do you mean I'll be competing in the Olympics? Mr. Tortoise dryly chuckled. If I had said you needed to pass drug tests, never pose a unique thought, and waste your life in the pursuit of a tennis shoe deal, I would have said you were competing in the Olympics. No, my young rabbit. These races are far more private and far more lucrative than a gold-plated coaster hanging from your neck. I tried not to show my excitement. It was impulsive, perhaps even shameful, but the thought of a cash prize solving my debt and securing my future wound its tendrils around my desires. I didn't want to extinguish the warm feeling, so I settled for the next best thing. I internally shamed myself, imagining the wagging finger of disappointment to keep a level head. I'm sure you've heard this before, and not that I don't want to join, but this sounds too good to be true. Mr. Tortoise slowly nodded. Yes, I've heard it many times. My answer, in not so many words, but always the exact amount, has been to provide incentive. Pulling from a drawer behind the desk, he strained to drop a 400 troy ounce bar of gold on the table in front of me. The lighting arrangement of the room was perfectly angled to attract my eyes with its polished glare. My heart rate pumped like my body was trying to filter a drug from my bloodstream. Unfortunately, it wasn't my excitement being filtered. It was my deteriorating veil of shame. A pointless veil I shouldn't have put the effort into erecting in the first place, since Mr. Tortoise saw past it the moment our eyes met. Tapping the bar, he asked in a near hypnotic cadence, "Do you know how much this paperweight is worth?" "It's not gold." "Oh, it is." I didn't know anything about stocks, currency fluctuations, or the rare mineral evaluation of what the bar of gold cost. It was entirely out of my wheelhouse, but I chose to guess over admitting ignorance. 100,000? Mr. Tortoise laughed. "It would indeed be a paperweight at that price. No, this is a little over $1 million, and if you reach first place, this bar and many more like it will be yours in the form of physical wealth and business opportunities. After all, we only allow winners to become Olympians, and we only allow Olympians to keep winning." Stunned, my head emptied as I tried to comprehend what I was being offered. My thoughts raced at first directionless till an unknown part of me emerged. From stage left to the pulpit of my mind, a commanding voice organized the chaotic eagerness of unchecked desires, merging the formless into purposeful design, tasked with animating my form towards achieving the gold bar. The voice told me what I wanted to hear. "This is your chance. Even if it's a lie, you saw the gold bar. You know where it is. Just keep hearing him out. If he's telling the truth, then this is your one shot. If not, sneak in later and take it. This is your chance at having everything you've ever wanted. You know, this will never come again." I was surprised by the voice's distinctness from my usual internal dialogue, though it was soothing and brought a confident direction to my conscious behaviors. So, I paved over my surprise, agreed with the voice, and gave it the mental freedom to walk whatever path it chose. I wanted what it wanted, and once I accepted that, I no longer felt any shame holding me back from pursuing my one shot. Turning my attention from the gold bar back to Mr. Tortoise, I curiously asked, "Sorry to bore you with another cliché, but nothing like this comes for free. What makes these races so valuable?" Leaning back in his chair, Mr. Tortoise brought his gloved fingertips together, tapping them against each other. "Ah, that's an easy answer, my young competitor. These races are for an exclusive community meant to uphold our beliefs, provide a commonality we all can share in despite our differences, and as I said before, inject our culture with new blood, vetted by athletic trials meant to prove capability. All it costs is making sure you're not the last one in the first 5 races, and that you're the first in the 6th and final one. If you make top 3 in the final race, you will still receive compensation, but you won't be granted the privilege of an elevated Olympian life." Throughout his speech, my eyes continued to wander towards the bright yellow glare of the gold bar. No part of me, newly emerged or otherwise, could control the warmth I felt when I looked at it. The physical representation of achieving impossible wealth made me happy just being near it. Mr. Tortoise's words barely registered, my thoughts more indulgent in the concern of how $1 million could be spent than how it would be earned. Clearing his throat, Mr. Tortoise tapped the stack of papers sitting closest to him, snapping my attention back to the new reality unfolding before me. These legal documents are a little difficult to read, especially for me since I am a bit older than you. I keep telling them to make the words bigger, but you know how it is. Save paper and the planet and all that. The cautious part of my brain was nearly shut off, but not quite. Lots of legal papers with small text and promises of gold bars was still enough to break through the opportunism gripping me. How many pages is this? Handing me a paper over the gold bar, he nonchalantly said, "Oh, several thousand, but we have a one-page summary we ask all potential competitors to read." In normal text, the page had 3 summaries. The first was titled, "There is inherent danger to this race." The second was titled, "You are obligated to serve your benefactor." The third was titled, "Your successes are concern, but your responsibility." I pointed to the first section. What kind of dangers are we talking about here? Opening his posture and gripping the sides of his desk, Mr. Tortoise leaned forward. The races will be difficult, taxing, demanding of even the toughest of competitors. This can result in permanent injury. Every year we've held them, we've had death. Death was the word to bring some sanity back. I may have been desperate for acceptance, connections, and the dreams of fabulous wealth, but I didn't want to die. How do people die in this race? Lightly tapping the desk with a fist, he looked off to the side. Last season, a young lad with your same number, in your same place, sat across from me asking the same question. He died at the second race. It was a night run. He wasn't careful. He slipped from a thin mountain path he shouldn't have been on. He thought he could make a better time by taking a risky shortcut, and it didn't pay off. He fell to his death. After his example, I proposed safeguards for that section of the race, and they should be in place now for future races. As the paper says, your success is our concern, but your responsibility. Stick to the path we've set for you. Don't be last. And you'll never have to want again. Mr. Tortoise gave the perfect response, expertly crafted to insinuate that death was a real possibility, and that in the case of it happening, there was some effort to prevent it from happening again in the future. I pushed by asking the obvious. Okay, so signing all these papers would mean me signing over my life. He sighed. For the next 6 weeks, your standard rights to self-determination will be turned over to our legal team so we can maintain financial and legal legitimacy. I can assure you that after that young man's death, his family received a generous stipend. Additionally, in the unlikely event of your passing, your family would be granted the same benefits. Sensing my hesitancy, he continued, 9. There are many professions, many jobs that are dangerous. Society demands them of people, and occasionally they are paid well for it. Most of the time, dangerous jobs are paid terribly comparative to the risk those workers put themselves through. Emergency medical response, firefighters, police officers, soldiers, all of them are paid a fraction of what they deserve. You, on the other hand, have a chance to be paid exactly what you deserve. Or, if you like, you can live paycheck to paycheck, always wondering if you'll have to beg to live with your parents, never truly being appreciated for your athletic capability until it fades with age. Something I can comment on from experience. Not the begging, but the age, that is. I mean, look at me. I can barely lift 30 pounds of gold. Accenting the end of his sentence, he dragged the gold bar back to seesaw at the edge of the desk, then, dropping it with an echoing thud into his drawer, the towers of papers swayed to their own seismographic shudder. Sign 9 along the line, or don't. You'll be free to return to your old life, back at your house, We will find someone else willing to take your place." Returning to his dry chuckle, Mr. Tortoise swiped a paper from the top of a stack and slid it across to me before any chance of the conversation extending. My house? No, that was my parents' house, and he was right. How long would I live with my parents, and what else was I going to do with my life? I was good at running, but the likelihood of making a standard living off of that was nil to none. This was my chance. I didn't want to waste a literal golden opportunity, even if it meant running on some dangerous trails. I pretended to skim through the one-page summary, really only reading the headlines. I didn't want to be convinced it was a bad idea. I wanted the picture Mr. Tortoise barely provided, the one I was willing to fill in the blanks for. I wanted the ideal series of travel photos. I wanted Michelin chef dining. I wanted to wear expensive status symbols as I watched my riches grow. In exchange for that want, I smothered the logical side of my brain, screaming at me to leave. I signed my life over for the next 6 weeks. Looking back at him for approval, Mr. Tortoise nodded, tapped the side of his mask, then pointed to the rabbit mask. Large oval ears brushed with a pink gradient. Mouth, whiskers, and eyes inked with bold black lines. Its refined look grew on me. Stretching the band behind my head, its curves perfectly conformed to my face. The action oddly felt more permanent than the ink I used to sign my name. The name I wrote, but now didn't matter because my new name was one that would define my existence. It was now 9, a number in a dangerous race committed to winning the grand prize. After we shook hands again, a different servant took me to a changing room where I was given running clothes with my number on it, ushered into a van, and taken to a building so opulent it could only be described as a palace.